Are you happy with your work-life balance? If not, stick around, I'm going to talk about that. Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back. My name is Kyle Summers and this is So How Does That Make You Feel? My video series where I just try to help you become a better version of yourself. Today's video is all about that work-life balance. In the intro, I asked a question on whether or not you were happy with your own personal work-life balance. If you answered yes, hey, good freaking job. This video may not be relevant for you. But if you answered no, hey, stick around because I'm going to give you 7 solid tips.
There are 7.
That I feel like is going to help you turn that imbalance into more of a balance that you can be happy with. Let's face it, guys. If you're watching this video and you live in the United States, chances are that you probably feel overworked. You could be working in a lot of different industries, but chances are the commonality that we all have is that we feel that we spend more time at work and everything else just kind of fades in the background. My first tip to y'all is that it's not your job's fault if you're unhappy with the job or the work-life balance that you have. It's yours. And it's important that you take accountability and ownership in that, because the more you try to blame your job for an imbalance in your life, or you try to blame your job that you're unhappy with the job itself, all you're going to be left with is a feeling of being stuck in it, because it's not your job's responsibility for you to be happy. It's your responsibility. Your job has a responsibility for what it's responsible for. So if it's responsible for producing a certain item, guess what? That's where its priorities lie. Its sole purpose is to make profit. Its purpose is not to make certain that you're satisfied with the balance between the time you're there and the time that you're not there. It's on you. Alright? Tip number 2, understand your values. What are your values? If you were to rank them from 1 to 100, what would be number 1? What would be number 2? When you behave, the things that you actually do, your actual actions, when you behave in a way that's out of line of your values, you're going to feel it. It could be manifested in the way of feeling guilty. It could be anger, it could be shame, it could be sadness, it could be a whole bunch of different emotions. But the primary outcome is that you're going to feel a disconnect. You're going to feel like something's missing because you aren't prioritizing what truly is important to you. And in order for you to do that, you've got to understand them. You got to really ask yourself, do I value success and money over family and leisure time? Is it the other way around? Is what you do day to day in accordance with your values? Because if it is, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel a certain level of fulfillment if you're acting in a way that's in accordance with your values. Tip number 3, be honest with yourself. Are you happy with your work-life balance? Are you happy with your job? If not, it's okay to say so. Because if you're not being honest with yourself, you're not being honest with any of the people in your life. And those people in your life, if you recognize that your loved one is overcommitted to work to where you notice within the family unit that there's an imbalance, say something. Say something. Now, how you approach that is really important, and that could be a whole nother video series in of itself, but the soft approach is crucial if you're going to bring that up, because there could be defensiveness, there could be a number of different things. So take a soft approach to initiating that conversation. If you go into the conversation with anger, guess what? Anger is going to be the outcome of that conversation. So take a soft approach. Tip number 4, learn to say no. And if you have difficulty saying no, understand why that is. Because you could have difficulty saying no for a number of different reasons. It could be out of fear of disapproval. It could be out of fear that if you say no, someone else will say yes, and therefore they'll get ahead while you're left behind, and perhaps you're really competitive. The whole idea is that you have the right to say no. And if you don't exercise that right, guess what? That's on you. If your employer asks you to work over, if you're asked to come in, if they're messaging you during times in which you're not on the clock and you're not on call, guess what? You have a right to set those boundaries and to say no. Because if not, they will allow that to happen. If you don't set boundaries with people by telling them no, they won't recognize where your boundaries are and they'll continue to violate them. And if you let them, again, that's on you. Just say no. Tip number 5 is mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is one of those things that is more than just a tip. It is something worthy of a whole video in of itself, probably multiple videos, to try to help y'all learn how to be mindful, which is nothing more than just being present in the moment. But I'll do my best to give you an intro into it now. Often the case is that our mind is a number of different places. We're thinking about the day we just had, we're thinking about what's to come, and it's everywhere else except for in that very moment. And when that's happening, you're not paying attention to the things that are happening around you. You're missing out on opportunities to do things because your mind is elsewhere. So being mindful is nothing more than just paying attention to your senses. Okay? So right now what I want you to do is just be comfortable. Wherever you're sitting, just be comfortable. And I want you to think to yourself, what are 5 things that I physically feel on my body? Not feelings or emotions, or not if you have a headache, but 5 things that you can physically feel right now in this moment. So for me, I feel my shirt, I feel my pants, I feel the chair, I feel the ground, I feel my socks, I feel my beard. Those things, before you consciously allowed yourself to pay attention to them, they were just in the background. But your senses, your sense of touch, your sense of taste, your sense of sight, hearing, smell, all your senses, they exist always in the present moment. So when you're able to pay attention to them and really tune into them, you're being mindful. You're being present in that moment. Someone's talking to you and you're actively listening to them, you're being present with that person. If you're doing something with your children and you're really watching them and really experiencing the moment with them, you're being present with them. So tip number 5 is practice mindfulness. Practice it daily. A lot of y'all are probably thinking it can be really difficult to shut my brain off, and you're right. Because it's just like any other skill. If you haven't been practicing it, it's very challenging to do. So it's something that you've got to get in the habit of doing. Mindfulness takes me right into tip number 6, is do things you enjoy and create memories. Far too often is the case is that we're waiting for things to happen in order to create memories. So we're waiting for the weekend or we're waiting for a vacation time. Screw that. You don't have to wait to create a memory of something that you enjoy. You can do it anytime, as long as you're being creative and you're recognizing what truly you enjoy and what you have fun doing. So for example, let's say you enjoy exercise and you enjoy playing with your children. What's to stop you one day when you get home from work if you challenge your son or your daughter to a race around the house, and whoever can run around the house the most times in 5 minutes win some kind of prize, whether it's a candy bar or a dollar bill, whatever. Because chances are, if you were to do something like that, you're going to create a memory. You might create a memory that you will forever remember for the rest of your life, as well as your child. One day when they're in their 20s, they're going to think back and it's like, yeah, one day my dad came home and he just randomly challenged me to a race around the house, and I remember jumping over the fence, running around in mud. I had to fight off the dog. The dog was trying to run after me. Create memories. In every moment that you're alive, you have the opportunity to create a memory. If you're not engaged in an activity, chances are you're not going to have the prerequisites to store that event as a memory. So when you try to think back to your day, it's not there. Create memories. Do things that you enjoy. Don't wait for opportunities. Make them. Tip number 7 is allow yourself a buffer of time so that way you can detach from work and be present in the home. So perhaps when you pull into the driveway, you just spend a few minutes just being mindful and allowing yourself to be aware of how you're feeling in that moment. What are the things that are going on? What really matters to you in this moment? Announce to yourself into your brain that you're going to leave work at work. Whatever happened at work is okay. It'll be there when you get back the next day. Go inside and enjoy your time with your family or whatever it is that you're planning on doing in that moment. All right? Give yourself a buffer. Allow yourself to turn off perhaps the persona that you take on when you're at work. So if you're a boss at work, do you want to come home and continue to be the boss? It may not be well received if you're giving orders to your family. Just imagine if a counselor like myself wasn't able to detach from the office and I continued to be in counseling mode. Oh God, where'd you come from? Iron Man. Why is it that you always feel like you have to be wearing a mask? Who do you feel like you're hiding from? What are you afraid of others seeing about you?
My name is Tony Stark and I'm not afraid of you.
Allow yourself to disconnect from work. Give yourself that time, that buffer in order to, again, be mindful, bring your awareness to what's happening now so that way you can leave it at work, because chances are work will be work when you get there the next day. So just to recap my 7 tips. Tip number 1, it's not your job's fault if you're unhappy with the balance. It's your fault. And take ownership of it. Take accountability of it, because when you do, it can become empowering. Tip number 2, recognize your values. Understand your values. Make certain that your behaviors are in line with your values. Tip number 3, be honest with yourself. Family, be honest with your loved ones. If you're not happy with your work-life balance, if you're not happy with your job, it's okay. Tip number 4, say no. Understand the difficulties that you have saying no and begin practicing and implementing that into your life. Set those boundaries. Tip number 5, learn how to be mindful. Learn how to be present in the moment. Allow yourself to practice it each and every day. Tip number 6, do things that you enjoy. Create memories every single day. Every single day you have the opportunity to create a new memory. And tip number 7, allow yourself time to disconnect and detach from work. All right. Well guys, that was my video. I hope that you found value in it. I hope that if you watch it all the way through, that you found 1 or 2 or multiple things that can help you bring a little bit more balance into your life and help you create more of an atmosphere with your work-life balance that you're satisfied with. Okay? If you enjoyed the video, hey, go in and like it. Comment down below. Let me know what kind of things you're going to do differently in order to bring your work-life balance more into your favor. All right. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Subscribe, because I'll be posting a new video next week where, again, just trying to help you become a better version of yourself. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good one. I'll see you next time.